Welcome to the Recover You podcast. I'm Kylene.
And I'm Patrick.
We are a couple in recovery
from sex addiction
and betrayal trauma. Together, we share our story to encourage you on your journey. It's here that we talk about sex addiction, betrayal trauma, mental, emotional, and physical health, faith, and anything and everything needed to recover you to your most authentic self that God created you to be.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Recover You. Tonight, we will fill you with all kinds of knowledge.
What? Okay. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Recover You. Today is the second short episode that we are doing in this December series, where we've committed to keeping them a little more succinct and a little more direct application for the month of December. We just know that all of you are really busy. You probably are, engaging in a lot of family traditions and work and spending time together, church activities, all these different things that, parties, all these things that keep us busy in December. So we wanted to make sure that we were releasing some episodes, but also not, having them be overwhelming. Usually when we try to record episodes, we can't control ourselves and we just can't seem to make it less than 45 minutes. So this is a challenge for us. We're like, okay, it's going to be really direct. It's going to be helpful and it's going to be short. So we do hope that these are helpful. So today we're going to talk about connection questions for couples, specifically around the holidays. So you've heard us talk about this a lot. We really encourage regular check-ins. I have a lot of these conversations with my clients over and over and over. It seems like asking the direct question, checking in about sobriety, eventually moving into vulnerability and deeper connection questions. It just seems like it's a struggle point for many, many, many people. So I'm regularly having these conversations about, you're struggling with this, or you're communicating this problem to me and you're doing a great job of it. Have you told your spouse how you feel? Did you share this? So I recently had a call with a client who we've been working together for quite a while, and it's been a little bit of a process. And they had a great I don't want to say great because it was a very, very difficult conversation recently, but because it was so honest and so vulnerable, it just felt like this weight had been lifted, and just what an opportunity. And they were so thankful that they finally did that, right? And so I just can't, and I'm sure we've said this so many times, but we really, really, really cannot overstate the impact that good, honest, vulnerable communication has. So we always encourage you to do the check-ins, ask the questions, make sure that you're talking about what's actually going on. But in this particular episode, it will be a little bit lighter in terms of the questions, because we're focusing on the holidays a little bit. And so this is just, if you have some time, this week or next week, and you want to have a few minutes together with your partner to just kind of talk. And you remember, like, back in the day when those emails would go around, they were like 50 questions and you'd ask your best friend, like, what's your favorite color? What's your, and it was fun. I remember, with my first real boyfriend, he drove like 2.5 hours to pick me up because he lived up in Bowling Green, and I had printed out one of those question things, and when I got in the car, I think I was asking him a lot of questions. Anyway,
I can see that.
it was we were gonna have 2 hours in the car together, and it was like, let's get to know each other, So
yeah.
I think they're great tools.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we really encourage you to, during the holiday season, we know that it can be busy. And one of the things that can really happen is, instead of leaning in and making sure that these things are really structured and that you're checking in regularly, when things get busy, you can tend to pull away. People can tend to pull away. I'm busy, I forgot, I'm busy, I'm tired, whatever. Again, regardless of where you are in your relationship, the type of questions, the frequency, the duration, it could be 2 minutes, 15 minutes. It really depends on where you're at. But we're always, always, always going to recommend that when things get busy, you don't check in less. Maybe you even check in more. So just make sure you're touching base this holiday season.
Especially if it's around, let's say, Discovery or whatever was right around that holiday time frame too. It's going to be really hard like, I think, both sides could retreat quite a ways. It's not the time to do that. It's the time to step into it and say, hey, let's continue to check in, because I know this is going to be hard because it's the quote unquote anniversary of being discovered or whatever.
Right.
And so, you kind of owe it to both sides to continue to communicate.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so we are theming these 3 questions around the holidays. And this would just be a great time to, pause, maybe listen to this with your partner and go through the questions together, or just maybe write them down and do them over dinner tonight. Question number 1, what is your favorite holiday memory or tradition? I added tradition because I was thinking about answering the question myself, and I was like, what is my favorite holiday memory? I have no idea, but I can think of traditions.
Is that a question you want me to answer?
If you'd like to, you don't have to. I mean,
so
we did promise to keep it short.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of great holiday memories, and I actually just thought of one that was my parents, and it's they're both passed away now, but I remember getting up on Christmas morning, and I was little. I remember being little, and I was opening my presents, but I was sick. And so my parents, they let me open my presents, and they very kindly came over and said, come on, let's go back to bed. And they asked me to go back to bed, and I went back to bed. And so it's kind of like a little bit.
Oh, I'm getting emotional. Yeah. So sweet. Actually, that, so an imprint in my little childhood brain was I came downstairs, and my parents had gotten me and my 2 sisters, we each got our own beanbag that year. And at least for the size that I was, like, I don't know, I was pretty young, so I was pretty tiny, I'm sure at the time, they seemed like huge beanbags. Like, these were like big, massive beanbags. So they were very fluffy because they were new. So they were really tall. And you walked down and you were like, oh my gosh, there's 3 beanbags around it.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was very cool. Yeah. That was a fun memory. Okay, second question. What do you like about celebrating holidays together?
So what I like about it together is you're always a lot of fun. Like you're always very excited about it. You want to spend time together. You want to go do things, and everything is like you're just amped up a little bit more. Like you want to. What did you scream? We were talking to Keegan last night, and he's coming home. You're like, "What do you got?" Or something like that, like you yelled or whatever. So I mean, that's fun. It's just an exciting time. I mean, there's a lot of pain around holidays, in a lot of cases, and I think with everything we've been through, you still retain that excitement, and that's really cool.
Oh yeah, I just like spending time together.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah, well, I always like spending time together, but the holidays are extra. Yes, they're more fun. Yeah. Well, and you're always like very go with the flow. So if I just throwing this out there, like if I was like, I want to watch, I'm trying to think, It's a Wonderful Life, or, I'm trying to think of the movie that, gosh, it's not coming to my brain right now. Holiday Inn, something like that, or White Christmas. If I was like, I really want to watch that this year, you'd be like, okay, and I'd be like, we're gonna do it with hot. We'd be like, okay, you're totally go with the flow with that stuff, which is cool. And I did say to Keegan, so we have this, because Keegan's been texting us, and he's like, what do you need? What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas? And we're like, don't worry about it. And then I was like, when we blended families so long ago, Keegan and I had some bumpy roads along the way. And one of them was playing the game Sorry together. And it just did not go well. And there was like a lot of hashtag trauma associated with playing that game. And so when we were talking about it, I was like, you know what we should do? The best Christmas gift in the world would be if we could all play Sorry together without arguing and reclaim our inner children. Reparent our inner child by reclaiming that game.
We might have to have comfy chairs and tasty beverages for that event. Yeah.
I think so, but it could potentially be very magical, and it would make Christmas wonderful. Yes. Okay, and the third question is there anything you would change if we could wave a magic wand and create a new tradition?
A new tradition.
Skiing in Aspen. No.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I was thinking about that. Man, it'd be great to have like a ski lodge somewhere that we always went to, like on the 20th through like the 27th or something like that.
You go right over Christmas.
Oh, I totally would. Totally would.
Disconnect from the world.
Yep.
I think we've done a really good job, and to give my family a lot of credit. My parents are very much like, hey, we know that you guys are your own family unit, and so we want to, respect whatever it is that you want to do, and of course we'd like to see you, but they're very like no pressure with things. And so one of the things that we've shifted is we will do the holiday celebration as the nuclear family unit in the morning. So we'll have breakfast and open presents and stuff and just kind of hang out most of the day. And then we'll get together as a family, like with my parents and my sister and her husband and their kids and stuff like that later in the day, like dinner time or something. And we'll kind of gather. And that I think has been really nice, that little adjustment of like, that way we kind of do have a lot of down relaxation, connection, whatever we want to do. We don't have to like rush to wake up, or, we can make whatever breakfast we want, and we can kind of have that time together. So it's kind of nice. I like that. So I guess that's sort of a newish tradition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't remember exactly how we did it before, but I like that we did that. And I think that was an intentional kind of adjustment that we made. So those are the 3 questions. We hope that they're helpful. The first one is, what is your favorite holiday memory or tradition? The second one is, what do you like about celebrating holidays together? And the third is there anything you would change if we could wave a magic wand and create a new tradition? So I think that, we kind of kept it very succinct, but of course they could open up other questions and you could have an extended conversation, and these can just be prompts to kind of get you started. So we hope that this is helpful.
It's going through discovery is a really painful thing, and all the debris that comes from it. But you also have a real opportunity to chart a new path with your spouse. And as you're moving into healing, you can start to create some really wonderful new things. It's like it's a real gift in a way if you both are committed to the work and both are doing these things, and that can be a Christmas gift in and of itself. But it's a really it's an amazing spot to do some reset type work, which is like a new tradition and stuff like that. So don't let that opportunity go.
Yeah.
I think would be the recommendation.
If you're choosing, I think it's like if you're choosing to stay with someone, we really want to make sure it's like the healthiest version possible. And if you're going to have a healthy relationship, no matter what phase you're in, connection, compassion, and curiosity about the other person is always going to be important, right? Whether you are together 1 year or 40 years. It's how do you keep learning about that person and keep connecting and asking questions and thinking about things. How can I share my perspective more clearly? How can I understand their perspective more clearly? And just keep, asking the questions and setting aside the time to have those conversations.
Correct.
Well, we hope this was helpful, and we will see you next week.
Woohoo! If you're listening to this, it means you've made it through an entire episode. Part of recovery is spending time engaging in healing and self-growth activities. We are thankful that you chose our podcast to be one of those activities today. Make sure you reward yourself for that accomplishment. If you've enjoyed this episode or this podcast, we would love to hear from you. Please take just a few moments to leave a rating and review, letting us know your experience with Recover You. We not only love hearing how these episodes are helpful, but ratings and reviews help others just like you who are searching for recovery information and support find the podcast too. We can't wait to hear from you. See you next week.